Terry's there.
He's on? Okay, and make sure I can hear him. Okay, good. All right, you give me my countdown I need here to make sure he's ready. We're good?
Anytime you're ready, go ahead.
Okay. Hey folks, welcome back to your Frederick Real Estate Update. I am Darren Ahern with 20 years plus experience here in the Maryland and PA region. And I also have with us, he is on the line at an undisclosed location. He's going to tell us right now, man from Presidential Bank Mortgage, Mr. There he is. Hey buddy, how you doing?
Great, how are you doing?
All righty, go ahead and give us a big update. What is happening in the mortgage and finance world in relation to our real estate?
So last week when we talked about the banking crisis. Has anything gotten worse in the banking crisis? They're starting to look at, Deutsche Bank came out on Friday and basically there might be some issues there. So there's still a little bit of instability in the banking market. But the big news this week, Darren, was the Federal Reserve got together and they raised interest rates as expected by 0.25%. What everybody was expecting the 0.25%, but what they had to do and what they wanted to do was basically listen to what Chairman Powell had to say after they raised it by 0.25 point. Everybody knew that they were going to do it 0.25 point, but they wanted to hear what was going to happen after. And here's what he basically said. So the new word today that he brought up is terminal rate, okay? And I even had to look it up because I was like, okay, terminal rate, is it the end? Is it what? And basically what the terminal rate that he talked about is, he said that we are nearing the terminal rate, which is the highest rate it's going to be. So it's nearing the end of the rate hikes is what he signaled. Now, what we may have is we may have another 0.25 point rise the next time they meet, which is in the next 6 weeks from now. But if that happens, then they're basically going to rely strictly on the data that shows up. Now, we've got a stronger than expected jobs market. Right now, they're trying to break that labor market, as we've talked about many times, but they're also keeping a close eye on inflation, and that's what they're trying to do, obviously, is get down to that 2% inflation. So when he talked about the terminal rate, that was actually good news for our interest rates. So the 10-year bond, which we look at, that's now down to 3.4, okay? 2 weeks ago was at over 4%. So we've seen stability in our mortgage rates. We've seen an increase in loan applications. We've seen an increase in demand. The only thing we haven't seen, and that's up to you and Sandy to get to us or get us, is increased supply, okay? So if you guys can get us increased supply, then we're going to be in a much better position here.
All right, no pressure on that question there. We're doing our best, So, alrighty. So, real quick before I interview Sandy here, and we get talking. What is the one thing with buyers right now that you're seeing with getting loan applications and all that right now? What is one of the main things that you're seeing people having a difficult time with, or it's a little bit of a challenge, or things like that?
I'm seeing more and more gifts. People are trying to position themselves so they're not going to be in an FHA loan because, as you guys know, we're actually still competing. There's still multiple offers coming in. So people are trying to get the strongest offers. So I'm seeing more and more gifts. I'm seeing more and more parents get involved. And I'm seeing more and more down payment assistance through our grants and so forth.
Alrighty, you're not kidding when you say parents involved. I'm sitting there trying to help my one son here, and I'm like, hey, let's get you a duplex. Let's get you a good deal out there or so. And there's nothing out there. There's no good deals or whatever. So, alrighty, sounds like it. Good stuff. Thanks, Terry, for calling in here, and we appreciate it so much. And at the end of the show, folks, you can get a hold of Terry. He has all his information. And don't forget, still has that $12,500 grant that he has available and other great loan programs to help you guys out. So, all right, let's get right on into it here. I have never done this. We haven't done this before. This is almost like, this is nervous. I brought my boss into the office today. Now what do you do? Brought my boss to work. Instead of bring your child to work. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, I have with us the pleasure and honor, the one and only, that is the owner and broker of our Remax Results office here in Frederick for a very long time, the whole 10 years that I've about been there. and even longer than then. So I am going to give a warm, nice welcome, everybody, to Miss Sandy Olson.
Good morning, Darren. Or I guess it's afternoon now, huh?
Yeah, it's getting there. It's getting there. We don't know, as real sage, we don't know what time of the day is. We just go, 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 go. So we get calls at midnight sometimes. Yeah. All right. Good to have you on, Sandy. Thank you so much. And I appreciate you being here. We're going to talk first numbers, and then I got a few questions for you. How's that?
Okay, sounds good.
All right. As far as the inventory today, can you believe it? 254 total homes on the market. Average, we have the resales 138. That's actually come up just a little bit. It was 102 a few days ago. And we have 47 as the average time of those resales with a 9 median days. But 47 is, like I've told buyers many a times, sellers many times before, really the kind of market we're in. If you don't have an offer, usually within a week or 10 days, your price or something radically is wrong. But the 47 obviously takes into account a lot of the higher end homes and things that are taking a little bit longer and all of that. So new construction is down even more, 116. And the coming soon's 41, and that's even down a little bit as well on that front. Pending under contracts, 531, 233 resales, 298 resale, 233 brand new. In the last 30 days, 276 sold homes in the last 30 days, which is about 9 or 10 or so per day, and the average time on them was 28 days. And so the other thing, Sandy, I don't pull up a whole bunch, but somebody had asked me, and they said, Darren, what about things that are temporary off? 25 homes that are temporary off the market. Those are people that are maybe fixing their homes, painting, doing something. They came on, something didn't go right, or something had happened, and they needed to take it off temporarily. And we never know how much time frame that is before they come back into the mix, into the market. But the interesting thing someone had asked me is expireds, withdrawals, canceled contracts, canceled listings in the last 30 days, I should say. How many of those? And there were 80 of them. And someone would say, well, why would there be any of those much at all if we have so many homes that are selling and all that? So, all right, I want to get your take on these market numbers and ideas and things like that. We're going to get right into that, but we're going to first do about your background and what interests you to become the broker owner of Remax Results here in Frederick and Hagerstown. We have 2 offices, by the way.
Yes, we do. Becoming a broker kind of fell in my lap. I have 23 years experience in the business, and after about 4 years in, I did take as soon as I got into the business, I actually realized you need a lot more education than what they give you just to get your license. So I started taking the broker classes. So it's 135 extra hours. And so I had my associate broker's license and was working in a Remax office. Their main location was Gaithersburg, and they had a Frederick branch, and they decided that they wanted to sell the Frederick branch. So there I am with my associate broker's license. I also have my degree in business from Mount St. Mary's University. So one of the agents in the office said, Sandy, why don't you buy it? So I was like, well, okay. So I guess you could say the rest is history. We started with 3 agents. Now we have over 80 full-time people in our office. We look for career agents to work for us, and two team satellite offices, 2 locations, and we're rocking and rolling.
Yeah, it has been good. I know from the day I came over from my past previous brokerage, it's been nothing but amazing, after seeing everything that's out there and how everything works and having a good feel for everything. It's been amazing to work with you, and I know that I knew I would get a lot of support, and I knew that my business would grow, and I knew we were going to be very professional to help in this region, the buyers and sellers, to the highest level ever. So, all right, so what is it like? This is a scary question coming from me, and you're one of your agents. What is it like to have all of us agents, including yours truly, to have the responsibility to own the whole, and run this office and all the things that it takes part in it?
Well, it is an honor and a privilege, actually, to be the broker owner and supporting all of you guys. But as the broker, when things get crazy or go south or we have difficult situations, I get to get all those phone calls. So it's never a dull moment. We have some crazy situations, things like we've had snakes infested in the attic under the attic boards. We've had bats that were a extinct species that we had to remove from an attic. You couldn't just get rid of them or exterminate them. We've had, and every situation is different. You know, every home is different. Every buyer-seller situation is different. We've had, you know, we were working with people with divorces and deaths and that kind of thing. And I remember one time we had a divorce situation where the wife didn't really want to sell, and so we were listing the property, and our first feedback on the showing was there's profanity spray painted all over the side of the house. Neighbor also wasn't too happy. So we're, as the broker, you know, agents, we're all helping to support people navigate a very difficult time. And you know, I get a call probably every day with something crazy going on, you know, with a transaction.
Yes, and I know in all of my experience, as you know, you have been an amazing help with very, very, very difficult situations that even with as many homes that I sell and have been involved with transactions with buyers and sellers, you're right. The big thing I have learned is just when you think you've heard it and seen it all, and there's things that, you know, we lie awake at night thinking, if this would happen or this would happen, what would I do? What would be the legal way, or who would I contact, or how do we get this kind of person involved, or what have you? And I think on my level, just how much, you know, what I have to deal with. Now you put 90 or so or plus of us into the mix, and that's what you get to do all day long. So that's the fun part of it. So
it
with
is fun, actually.
Yeah, and I think the thing that's fun is, you know, there's been very few times that we haven't been able to figure out a solution to a problem, and that's why we exist and such like that. I believe is because we do bring the knowledge and the experience and the professionalism to be able to navigate through very difficult situations like that. So. Alrighty, let's look at this. What is the biggest challenges that you've seen in past markets and today's market and things like that? This is a big one I think that a lot of people want to know about from your perspective. So everybody's tired of hearing from me every week, and we're giving out these numbers. So we did these numbers, and of course this is a big thing that you have done an amazing job with, is helping us and preparing us for what we could be having to pay attention to. That's coming in futuristically, to have great, amazing, all the Remax and tools to be able to arm our buyers and sellers with great, up-to-date, cutting-edge technology and information and marketing and things like that, to be able to help them navigate through the complexity of everything like that. One of the things I know for me that blows my mind is how much more is involved. You know, when we got into this, there were, 10, 15, 20 pages max for you know, the contracts, and now there's like 40 or 50, and if we go into Montgomery County, you can have another 10 or 12 pages, and before you know it, you got 70 pages and such like that. And these are the things that you're reviewing from us and making sure with the staff that everything is in line, everything is in order, nothing is missing whatsoever. So that's on that front side of it. But as far as the numbers and what you're seeing, what do you see as the biggest challenge today in versus past markets or today's market, that from a broker's point of view, if they weren't talking to me as your agent and they were calling you at the office, what would you be telling buyers and sellers today?
Well, you know, homeownership is still the American dream, so go for it. You want to definitely be out there, be out in the market. Buyers, yes, there's low inventory out there, so you know, we're going to do everything we can to try to help you find what you want. You may have to change your parameters a little bit, but still get in the game. The interest rates, don't listen to all the negative news, and the interest rates are up and down. Homeownership is still a wonderful thing. It's the biggest investment people make in their lives. People who own homes have 44 times the net worth than people who don't. So it really is important. And if you're renting, you're paying somebody's mortgage. It's not yours.
That's it.
You're paying somebody's. So you're still buying a house. So be in the game. You know, get out there, get with your professional, stay in the game. And again, you may just have to have a little bit of more realistic and change your parameters a little bit to find what you want. It may not be your perfect house, but you're getting in the market, and that's important. For sellers, I think you need to have a realistic expectation. As Darren said, things are staying on the market a little bit longer. You need to be priced right. You need to be in great condition, and you're going to get sold in this market. But if you're a little high, we're seeing things sit. So be realistic, and again, get a good professional opinion about where you should be pricing your home.
Good stuff. All right, so let's talk a little bit about with past markets. Did you have the Remax office during the fun time of 2008, 9, and 10, or were you? Tell us what your thoughts were about that time frame.
Yeah, I've had the brokerage for close to 20 years now, so yes, we did survive the market of 2008, 2009, 2010. Lots of foreclosures. People were getting foreclosed on. We had lots of short sales, which means that they're upside down when people are trying to sell their home. So we really had to adapt and navigate and learn all of those different things. We jumped on board. I have to say Remax was wonderful because they put out the short sale education for us and certifications. So we were all taking it online so we could learn how to navigate the market. I don't even think banks knew how to navigate that market. So yeah, helping people through that time period, that was probably the toughest time that I've seen in any market.
Yeah, and it was definitely unbelievable. And of course, Sandy, we get so many people right now have been asking, are we going to have a market crash? Are we going to experience 2008 and 9 again? In that regard, there's a lot of buyers I have found, there's a good amount of buyers on the sidelines that are really wondering, they're waiting for either interest rates to come down or this big crash that they've heard about if they were during that time or had never purchased during that time, and they watched maybe what their parents had lived through, that we were helping with things like that were a little more challenging. So what would you say with today's market in the snapshot today? I mean, we have gone from the COVID and free money, it seemed like, and everybody had a chance to move up and get a bigger place and all that, telecommuting and all the different reasons why it became so much a higher demand besides natural population and just so many people needing and wanting housing and no longer wanting to rent. What is today's market? What is the best way to describe the feel of today's market as you speak to not just myself, but to all agents and other brokerages, and you are engulfed in this at even a higher level than we are?
Well, I think especially in this area, we're going to continue to have high demand. We've got a great location, and as Terry said earlier, unemployment is still low. So, I don't think we've ever, I was talking to our friend Kenny McLean, who's the appraiser, last night, and I think none of us have ever seen this exact scenario, because usually, you're going to have, if high inflation, you have higher unemployment, but we have low unemployment, and we have high demand. You've got millennials and Gen Zers now who are the biggest population out there wanting to buy homes. So I think the builders are just going to need to catch up from the 2008 crisis when they kind of stopped building, and we need more inventory. And so if people are thinking of selling, if you're thinking about selling, now is a wonderful time to get out there and get in the market. And I know some people are wanting to move south or other locations, and it's a great time. So I think that we're still going to see in the next several years a very hot market with high demand, and I wouldn't worry about a crash anytime soon.
Yeah, that's what I've been saying. I'm glad. Yeah, that's the thing. The dynamics as we study this, it makes perfect sense, because there's not a lot of factors that can really take buyer demand much lower. So the big thing, what do you think would be the number one fix to be able to get a little bit of this gridlock undone? What are some of the ideas that you have, obviously, to get more sellers out there, but what do you think it's going to take for sellers to be maybe more convinced to get their home on the market? Because we do have only 41 coming soon, and of course we would love to have 100, 150, which is in the pipeline coming up soon. What would be some of the ideas, or I guess the best question would be if you could change, and this can go pretty broad, about the market and about our industry as a whole, we can spend some time on. What are some of the things that you've always wished that you would make a suggestion, if you could wave a magic wand, that would change to just improve it in any capacity?
So well, I guess about real estate in general, and I've had the honor and privilege of actually being asked to be a real estate commissioner, and I started that role in June. And the things that we just see coming through and that we've experienced on other ends is more education. Agents need more education. 60 hours, great, you got your license, but then once you get in the game, you really need to learn a whole lot more, and get mentored and have guidance and have good supervision. And don't be afraid to ask questions. It's really important. As we just described, every single day is different. Every transaction is different. So it's really important to stay educated. And so I would say education for agents is a big deal. When it comes to the inventory, we have a lot of people who I know refinanced and they have lower interest rates, so they may not be interested in selling right now because they're going to buy something with a higher interest rate. But just remember that it's still the American dream. Buy what you want. It's not going to be that much different in pricing, and you're going to have equity in your home that you don't want to lose. So right now, the equity's there. Take advantage of it, and don't be afraid. If you can afford the home that you really want to have, go for it. Continue to go for the American dream.
That's it. What about for buyers right now? I was just showing a home yesterday, and up where I live in by Camp David, a good size home, and they live here in Frederick, and they were wanting to. They're like, Darren, it's getting so busy and the traffic and this and that and everything else, and she's kind of a stay-at-home mom, and he works up towards that side. And so we were thinking about that with demographics and making changes and things like that. They said to me, do you think it was really smart that 2-3 years ago that we didn't, we were a little interested, but we didn't do it then, but now we're a little bit more interested now. What do you think about that? And so the number one thing they want to know is, how do we, what should we do with an offer? Like, this home's only been on the market for just a little while, but it was on previously. Like you said with price, it was at a higher price point, and what they had done is the price had come down, and they were kind of like, is this the point where we're going to have a multiple offer situation? We're going to have to be fighting with other buyers now. Is that the case? So as far as the with buyers today, all the different questions or things they've experienced or heard their friends and family members go through before in just the last couple years of the market versus today, what would be some of the things you think I should tell them as a broker helping me as an agent? What's the best way I can advise this beautiful couple with all these children and all that?
Well, first, when they start looking, it's really important to have great communication with the listing agent. What does the seller want? What do they really need? And it's not always money. Sometimes it may be a rent back situation. Maybe they're going to buy new construction and they need to stay in the house a little bit longer. So we're seeing creative ways for making sure that we address what the seller wants. So again, it's not always about money. Sometimes we're even seeing now buyers giving seller credits for some of their closing costs. So if you have a little bit of extra cash, that can be another incentive for a seller. So it really is having good communication with the agent, with all the parties, to find out what it is that the parties want, so there can be a meeting of the minds and get creative.
Yeah, the big thing that they had asked me, of course, ultimately is, hey, Darren, I called the agent and they got back to me later, but in the moment of that, the first thing they want to know is it possible that we can ask for less? Can we offer a lower price? And we have not really seen that happen too often unless a home's been on the market for quite a while. And so, or they said, what about closing costs? And then, of course, the big thing is their home we need to sell. I need to get their home to sell to be able to do that. And so talking about the dynamics and educating on, how much time within an offer would we actually go back to the other party, the sellers, and say, hey, well, how do we know up front how much time they may give us to get a home on the market and for sale and such like that? So what advice do you think I should give them?
Well, a house to sell contingency right now in this market is really, really tough. I think that it's probably a good idea, as I said before, you may have to have a plan B. So maybe it means that you need to sell your house and you do the rent back for a little while. Or find another place to go for a little while so that when you make that offer, you don't have that house to sell contingency, because that's really tough, because we are competing right now, and if there's multiple offers, that may be a little tougher for a seller to accept. Again, houses are selling quickly, so if yours is priced right and in good condition, the likelihood that it's going to sell quickly too.
All right, as we head into, that's going to help me out. That's what I got. 2023, the coming up here, as we heard, there's a chance that they may not really raise interest rates much more and stuff. Prayerfully, we're not going to get over 7. But I even have thoughts about, as thinking future 2024, what are some of the dynamics? Is there any other last thoughts? We got about 3 minutes left, and then there's one other thing I want to ask you as well. What do you see going forward that you've studied, and what are some of your thoughts?
Well, I think, again, interest rates are going to be what they're going to be. We can't change it. You may be able to buy down a rate if that's a concern for you, and sellers can contribute to some of that as well if their house is sitting a little bit. But I think the upper end homes, as you said, are starting to slow down a little bit, and that contracts the market some too.
Alrighty. And then obviously we're growing this industry in our office and always having, I know you're always looking for great people that are sharp, that have a desire to help and serve the public and such like that. So I was going to ask you, what are some ideas for the public? There's maybe someone out here listening that says, hey, I want to maybe talk more about getting into real estate. What does it really take? And as a broker, what would be some of the advice that you give somebody that's looking for a career change and to get into our industry?
Well, the first thing you have to do, of course, is take that 60-hour class, but then I would make sure that you're finding extra training the minute that you get into the market, and make sure you have a good mentor, somebody who you can go to for advice. You don't have to do this on your own. Don't be out there on your own. And some brokers are just more involved and more engaged than others. So I would highly suggest that you find an office that's supportive and supplies that growth and training and mentorship.
Yep, and I definitely would agree. So good stuff. So in the last few moments of the program, I want to personally thank you for all of your advice and support and helping me. This is no kidding. There have been situations where I've walked in and thank God you have a box of tissues sitting right there, and there's a reason for that, because this is a very emotional thing. And I brought I cried. You're not going to believe what just happened. And then and so I do want to thank you so much for the guidance and advice, and you definitely help us all to be able to sleep at night, knowing that with your expertise that there's always going to be a good solution. And I definitely know that I've had many buyers and sellers of mine that maybe some have even talked with you, I believe, that have said, thank you so much for helping me, giving me the right direction, and also answering any additional questions that I have about the whole process, because that's the whole thing, is we are a big team, and we are here to make sure that everybody is taken care of, because that's the key. The American dream, keeping that alive and helping people reach their goals and needs. So, all right, well, last thing is, any thoughts for me? What do you think about me being what I do here? Any last thoughts I'll give you?
Well, I love that you do your radio show and keep everybody informed week after week, and you're doing an awesome job in the market as well.
You too. All right, there it is. Sandy Olson, our broker owner at Remax Results. And guys, have a great week. Stay dry out there, and happy buying and selling here from your Frederick Real Estate Update. Thanks now. All right. Thanks, guys. Good to see everybody. Here we go. All right. Good seeing everybody.